What would you say, Randy, was your best experience, either on the moon or on Mars? That just was so fulfilling for you.
We were actually, my squad and I were captured by indigenous reptoids on Mars and spent 5.5 months living with them. And I would have,
Captured,
yeah,
like in they're not all friendly.
we were in a constant state of military combat with two indigenous species, an insectoid species and a reptoid species, which then got more complicated when the Draconian invasion occurred, and then it was a very complicated sort of war
Was
conflict.
it violent?
Very, very violent on a regular basis. I mean, we were in probably active combat engagements every 3 to 4 days.
Did we lose personnel?
All the time,
And did they?
all the time.
What kind of weaponry would we use?
For soldiers on the ground, our primary weaponry is a magnetic propelled rifle or a Gauss gun or a rail gun that fires out, magnetically propelled slugs.
And if it hits one of these beans, what happens?
Depending on who it is, or depending on the size of the slug, it usually penetrates and goes right through them. I mean,
And kills them?
it doesn't necessarily kill them right away, depending on their internal structure. The indigenous reptoids had a double circulatory system. They had two hearts with what I would call an internal organ circulatory system and then a perimeter or external circulatory system. So you could shoot holes in their arms and legs and they wouldn't lose
And
blood
nothing would
pressure.
happen.
Well, they wouldn't lose blood pressure in their central organs. So you really had to aim for, you had to hit a couple vitals in the central area before they would go down.
So it's violent there.
Very, very.
It's not as friendly as one would think.
No, it's an incredibly violent experience.
Did you meet any ETs you liked?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like I said, when we were captured and we actually were, the whole purpose wasn't, to torture us for 5 months. The whole purpose was actually for us to live among them for 5 months so that we could go back with an experience to say, they're not all bad, and kind of have this conversation.
Where did you
about
live with them?
in a subterranean community. They all live underground there.
On the moon or Mars?
On Mars, yeah.
On Mars. In their craft?
They have craft, but we didn't ever see them. They didn't ever use them. They had sort of chosen to live in a state of what I would say is sort of a more chosen primitive state than what their technology could allow them to do, because they feel that technology is what destroyed their atmosphere and nearly destroyed their planet in the first place, and so they were trying to live a little bit differently. But I would also, say that was specific to this particular group or tribe, this community, or that lived in this particular area, that if you went global, with the indigenous reptoids, they're not all on the same page about that. Depending on what part of the planet you landed on or engaged with them with, would greatly vary the experience that you would have with them.
Can you describe what they look like?
Sure. I mean, they looked like a bipedal developed, what I would call sort of a rock lizard. So not like a crocodile or
Like
an
a gecko?
alligator. Kind of, yeah. I mean, they have a shorter snout.
The insurance company, you'll love this one.
Have a shorter snout. They tend to have reddish to sandy colored skin or scales.
They walk upright?
Or walk upright on two legs. But there's quite a bit of variation in the patterning that can show up on their scaling. So they often would have black, yellow, red, some very interesting patterning on their scales.
Would you...
I would say they, height-wise, could vary from about 5.5 feet to almost 7 feet.
How do they communicate?
They communicate verbally. They can speak. Some of them are very developed and they can communicate psionically.
They have their own language, obviously.
Absolutely, they do, yeah.
How is their pitched voice?
I would say, again, that depends on the height, just like us. A bigger person with a bigger set of lungs is going to have a deeper voice and a
Not
smaller...
necessarily.
But, I would say that the main variation is in their tongue and their palate. So our tongue and our palate is a strong dictator in how our speech sounds. Their tongue and their palate is a strong dictator in how their language sounds.
So they're not as benevolent as one would think. Dr. David Jacobs may be correct when he says there's an evil presence with some of these.
I would say some of them are more enlightened than others, just like human beings are a little more enlightened than others. But, like everybody, they can have an aggressive nature to them. They can have a warlike nature to them. And, you get into a conflict with them, and they can resort to their primal, angrier selves, just like we do in a combat situation. Some of the tribes are definitely very warlike, and if you met them, you'd probably just be food if you couldn't win the fight. So,
They eat us?
oh sure, yeah.
So the Twilight Zone show, To Serve Man, was correct.
Well, I mean, they certainly, some of them see us as a completely different species, a completely different type of animal, and so we can certainly be on the menu.
How many bases are there that we have?
Oh, I would say hundreds probably, but I have no idea the actual
Scattered
number.
all over the planet
Yeah, it would
of
be
Mars?
easily hundreds, if not thousands, but I couldn't give you a number.
What about the ETs?
I would say more. They probably have even more bases and more stations than we do, because there's at least 3 or 4 intelligent species that live on Mars. At least 3 or 4 that I'm aware of. I've
Are
only
we
met
cons-
2 of them.
Are
but
we concerned that they're there? There's obviously we can't get rid of them.
I wouldn't say concerned. My understanding is the main purpose of continuing to engage in military conflict is to test weaponry and to test tools. So we certainly see that as a testing ground for, military technology to just get better and better and better. So in some ways, it's just what we do there, and it's a perfectly good testing ground for that material.
At this point, have you seen some of their craft up front and person?
Not the indigenous species on Mars. I've seen other extraterrestrial craft, but not the indigenous species who live on Mars.
And are we still recruiting people to go there?
Absolutely. I mean, some people are engineered from the ground up like myself and then parceled into a program and then deployed. Some people are recruited from covert black programs or other officer programs. Some people are requested or asked to, and some people are just, told, you're getting redeployed and get sent there.
Billy Carson has been on the Deep Space Gaia program, and he talks about recruitment.